Well, the cold air has never really escaped Scotland, particularly northern Scotland, but certainly further south we have been talking about unusually mild air for the time of the year, and it seems recent November's has really seen that. We've seen some unusually mild, moist, murky sort of nights across the UK, even in late November. Temperatures this morning at daybreak was at 14 degrees and viewed in Cornwall, so unusually mild air, and it's all thanks to a feed of warm, moist air, very moist air, that's driving up from the southwest. And what we're seeing is with the colder air across Scotland, that moisture driving into the colder air is going to turn readily to snow through the course of today. We could see disruptive snow along parts of the A9 up around Drumoctor and Dalwhinnie, even up towards Aviemore. And through the course of this evening into tonight, we could be talking about some the potential for road closures. So we're going to keep our eyes on that. Further south, we're talking about some pretty heavy, persistent rainfall. We've got a weather warning in the Cumbria region because of heavy wind-driven rain that will be persistent through a good chunk of today before it eventually clears out. But we've got this battle zone between mild Azores warmth and cold Greenland air. Now, the temperatures in central Greenland a couple of days ago dipped to -55 Celsius, so very, very cold air over that region. What we're going to start to see is as we start to see this system that's bringing all the wind and the rain, severe gales across coastal areas of the southwest, we're going to be seeing that colder air getting pushed into the UK. And therefore, we're going to need to keep our eyes on a rather wintry weekend coming up. Thanks for clicking on to the Wednesday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. This is the GFS Ensemble 2 meter temperature anomalies, and you can see here that as we go forward, we'll start to say cheerio to the milder air and start to see the colder air introduce itself. Now, what's taking place here is we've got this area of low pressure right here, separating the cold to the northwest, warm to the southeast. You see unusually mild air getting lifted up from the subtropics ahead of the system, and then on the backside, we're going to see that colder air getting driven in. And it's as that colder air starts to infiltrate its way over more area, we need to watch out for that precipitation turning from rain into snow. So it's going to be an interesting next 72 hours, folks, because not so much England and Wales at the moment, but it's going to be more across Scotland that we need to watch out for some very, very impressive snowfall. I think this is going to be the first significant snowfall of the year so far. Might be a bit of a shock to the system for some people, but it's the end of November. We're starting to get to that time of the year once again. But you can see here as we skip through the loop, the colder air becomes more established over the UK. Gone is the the yellows and the oranges, and we'll start to see the colder air becoming a lot more established. Now, this is, by the way, next Wednesday. And one thing I want to point out to you is that we could be talking about this cold spell coming in, and it may hold around for a little bit longer than, say, 24 or 36 hours like we've seen so far. You notice here that we've got the milder air up towards Iceland. The reason for that is we've got that Greenland block and high starting to take place. So we're going to keep an eye on this pattern very carefully indeed. I'm going to hopefully have the December outlook later on this evening. And what I'll do is, instead of doing a written post today, I'm going to do the December outlook that will be released later on. And that will show what I think the weather is going to do for the remainder of November. So it's going to include the weather for the upcoming days and in the next week as we end the month of November. And of course, will end the meteorological autumn. And of course, we begin meteorological winter. 17, 18. Interesting times to come, that's for sure. So let's have a quick look at the GFS, and we're going to have a look and see what the model is showing for precipitation wise over the next few days here, because we do have an interesting weather pattern certainly starting to show its hand here. So let's skip to the rain and frozen precipitation, and Still question marks over the weekend with regards to England and Wales, but do check out that written post that I released last night with more on that. But it's an intriguing pattern. Up until now, we've had a very, very fluid, transient weather pattern, but with colder air in that upper air stream, what we're seeing is the roller coaster in temperature between mild and cold. We've seen some snowfall across the higher elevations, of course, but we're now starting to get to that time now that we are infiltrating colder and colder air. Like I say, there's significance to the fact that Greenland was minus 55 a few days ago. When you start to replace that cold air over Greenland with milder air, that cold air, even though it's not going to be at minus 55 degrees, is going to shift, and it's going to shift ocean modified, and it will push into the UK. So it's going to be an interesting time coming up. A complex, messy pattern, as you can see here for today. We've got the area of low pressure, the main centre here to the west, northwest of Scotland here. We've got this plug of warm, moist, subtropical air driving into the upslope areas of northwest England. That's why there's a warning out, because of the orographic influence. We increase that rainfall as the air gets pushed up the mountainsides here. And of course, you're driving a pretty strong wind as well in, so that's going to pile that rain in to southwest Scotland, northwest England, and eventually we're going to see that clearing out. Hopefully, it might take some time. As we start to go through this evening, the area of low pressure kind of takes a swing to the south, and of course, the wrapper and moisture is getting driven into this increasingly cold air, because what we're doing is we're pushing the area of low pressure east, drawing that northerly wind down, so it's increasing the cold air across the highlands of Scotland. Still lots of moisture associated with the low itself. That's why we're increasing the snowfall potential, and the snow levels, of course, will continue to drop. Not so much over central Scotland. The cold air itself is kind of positioned over the highlands at the moment. So until we get that colder air further south, we're not going to see snow down into the central belt of Scotland. As that system clears out, we're left with a legacy of wintry showers and gusty winds, and feeling distinctly raw in that northwesterly wind. As we continue to skip through the day of Thursday, system pushes across the southern fringes of the UK. Continue to see that cold northwesterly airflow in across Scotland. And then as we go into the day on Saturday, it looks as if the moles have essentially lost the system that we were watching, that had the potential for a significant snowfall accumulation across parts of central England, parts of central Wales. It looks as if the moles have disappeared with that idea. So we're going to continue to watch this situation as we go forward the next few days here. The modelling with this complex pattern is struggling to kind of iron out the finer details. But we're left with that continuation of northwesterly winds, feeling cold. We're going to see frost where the skies are clear, where the winds are lightest. As we go through next week, we've got more systems coming in, so we continue to see the Atlantic pattern holding on. But as we go through the middle portion of next week, it looks as if we are going to start to see high pressure build into the west. We've got an area of low pressure over Scandinavia, high pressure to the west, low pressure to the east. We've got that northerly airflow, so we're going to be watching for a colder pattern developing as we go through the period here. So it's certainly a wintry flavour to the outlook. Keep it right here on YouTube and on marvelwindweather.com, and I'll try and keep you posted as best I can. Lots going on. Bye for now.